three campaigns. Actually, they're very simple campaigns, three campaigns from brands which I really look up to in both my professional and personal life. There was a campaign by Apple, which is called Creativity Goes On. And why this campaign actually stayed with me is that one of the biggest challenge that people had during this pandemic, at least in the initial days, was the abundance of time. For all of us living our life from meeting to meeting, traveling from point to point, suddenly there was an abundance of time for many of us. And this campaign, it is a very simple commercial if you look at it. It basically spoke about how one can be creative in this additional time that people have and stay positively engaged. I felt it was a very good way to communicate to people to stay happy by distancing oneself from the gloom. What's happening is happening. You can't do much about it other than staying safe and keeping your near and dear ones safe. But how do you keep yourself positively engaged? How do you do something which keeps you happy, builds that positive mindset and helps you sustain this whole pandemic situation, especially going through those different news cycles. So that's something that really stayed with me. Creativity Goes On is the campaign by Apple. I'm a Nike fanboy. So Nike did a campaign called Play for the World. And the simple thought was, in this testing time when you're cooped in, locked in, keep the athlete inside each one of us alive. And they actually did that through their endorsers. I think what stuck with me significantly with this campaign was the campaign was focused on the pride of actually playing for 7.8 billion humans, and not for you and not for me and not for a country. It basically took it to an entirely different level. I found it very inclusive, very compelling, and it actually drove home the message of keeping oneself physically active to stay mentally strong. That, I think, was a very important message that was given by Nike at this point in time. And last but not the least, a very interesting take on creativity. Honda did a campaign called #StayHome. I think it's the world's only car commercial that's written, directed, edited, and watched from home. I found it a very excellent way to keep the brand recall high in the customer's mind, especially at a time when car sales were the last thing that was there on people's minds. And it also featured their flagship Civic model. It was a facelift model that Civic had, which they had launched just pre-pandemic. So it worked on all the fronts. It gave a positive message. It gave the brand a certain creative liberty, and also it kept the model that they wanted to promote high recall in the customers' minds.